where the party is just beginning, and with the way this city loves their football team, may never end. For the first time in the Super Bowl era, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to hoist the Lombardi Trophy in one of the greatest, most suspenseful, and interesting Super Bowls we've ever seen. But then again, those three adjectives tend to describe every single Super Bowl the Pats have been involved in. Call it revenge for the Super Bowl 39 loss, and they have done it on Broad Street in Chestnut in Philadelphia. They've got what they're referring to as hydraulic fluid on the poles. Crisco wasn't going to be enough. It sounds bad, but the feeling is oh so good. The Sixers have done it in '83. The Phillies have done it. The Broad Street Bullies have done it. And now on Broad Street, the team the city cares about the most, their beloved Fly Eagles Fly, have flown to the top of football. They are the champions of Super Bowl 52. And we will be with you on SportsCenter all night long. At the base of Philadelphia's Art Museum is the city's ultimate underdog, Rocky. You're going to have to make room, Balboa, for a Nick Foles statue and maybe 52 others. Won't have problems commissioning them. Our Tim Hasselbeck is here. So much to talk about. Press conferences as soon as they start from both teams. But your initial thoughts on a Super Bowl for the ages?
It was just incredible. I mean, to think about it going down to the end. You know, the last play, a heave by Tom Brady into the end zone. To think that it went that deep, it was a great game. I mean, my initial reaction was it was like a shot of adrenaline watching the entire game. And to think that Doug Peterson, a guy who was coaching high school football 10 years ago, and a backup quarterback are able to beat the New England Patriots in a game like that was absolutely stunning. Where Nick Foles goes for over 300 yards passing the football, really just astounding at what Philadelphia, astounded at what Philadelphia was able to do offensively. That was shocking to me.
Late in the fourth quarter, Foles, the way he played, Chris Collinsworth, who was on the call, as you take a look at some of the heroic effort today from Foles. Look at that. Obviously, Doug Williams had come in. Hostetler came in relief of Sims, and obviously Foles in there for Wentz. Chris Collinsworth said late in the fourth quarter, it looked like Foles had been doing this his entire life, going mano a mano with somebody like Tom Brady. We obviously know that's not the case. He contemplated retirement. As a quarterback, when you look at this performance in totality, what do you think?
I mean, it's stunning to me. I mean, Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate when he went down. It's the kind of performance you would expect out of an MVP candidate. Nick Foles, listen, Tom Brady was amazing.
Yes. Nick
Foles put in a Super Bowl performance that was Tom Brady-esque. He was outstanding, and it was from start to finish, Zubin. You go to the first third down conversion of the game, moves outside the pocket and makes a play. The next third down is a third and long. And then to think that he just continued to play well throughout the game as Doug Peterson decided to stay aggressive, knowing that they were going to have to score points in order to hold off the New England Patriots. I mean, to put up as many points as they did against New England in a game of that magnitude means your quarterback is making good decisions, is throwing the ball accurately, and that's absolutely what Nick Foles did.
You're looking at Broad and Chestnut, the epicenter of the Philadelphia Eagles world at this moment. Let's talk broadly about this game. When you look at it in totality, your biggest takeaway is going to be what?
Doug Peterson would be my MVP.
Doug Peterson would be the
MVP. If you think about what he did, they have a fourth down play down near the goal line, and he decides that it's okay to let his backup tight end throw a pass. He's got another third down play later in the game where he calls a hard play action shot play, and he hits Zach Ertz down the sideline. Then he has a fourth down where some people would have made the argument that you punt the football and play defense. You have a fourth down play on your own side of the field where you go for it and you convert. Just stayed aggressive throughout the entire game. I thought the way he called the game was absolutely brilliant.
He was a backup Eagles quarterback. That story has been bandied about ever since he got the job, but he was second to none today. The drought has come to an end. They won the NFL championship, of course, but not the Super Bowl, and it's finally done. Recent championship winners, you take a look at it, you know what the Stros did of more than a half century of futility. South Carolina with Dawn Staley, Dabo Swinney getting it done for the first time since Danny Ford did. LeBron and the Cavs obviously had more than a half century of misery. And now the Eagles have finally attained what they have so desperately wanted for years. The Lombardi Trophy. Unbelievable. We are just getting it in 1960, went through a lull in the 90s, and then every single time the team has scored at home since the 99 season, for the better part of 20 years, that anthem has blared, and it will be blaring all night long and all off-season long. The Philadelphia Eagles are the champions of Super Bowl 52. NFL Primetime is on the way with Chris Berman, Boomer, on the field in just a minute. We'll be all over the press conferences on SportsCenter 2. Tim Hasselbeck is here. You can hear the Fly Eagles Fly chants here coming through your television on cue. I want to ask you about the offensive output in this game. 1,151 yards, most combined total yards in any game ever played in the National Football League, 874 through the air. So much for being tight in the Super Bowl.
Right, and you know, I think a lot of times when people see that, they say, hey, don't tell me this is good football. That's just bad defense. I would disagree with you. I think there was actually some good defense, played in this game. The reality of it was, I thought it was a tremendous job by both offensive coordinators. Doug Peterson, obviously the play caller for Philadelphia, but Josh McDaniels for New England, of finding ways to attack the defense. Philadelphia had a great plan of putting Malcolm Jenkins on James White, kind of eliminated him. So what did we see in the second half? Okay, we're going to now work Rob Gronkowski. And so a lot of New England's production in the second half came from Rob Gronkowski, which was an adjustment, and something different than they did in the first half. So really it was incredible. And I think it's a testament to both quarterbacks playing well. Now, if you want to say, Zubin, that there was no pass rush, I would grant you that. There wasn't much pass rush. But I thought that, outside of lack of pressure on the quarterback, they were getting after it pretty good, and I thought the defensive backs, at times made plays, and so, ultimately it was good quarterback play.
Let's flash back here. You referenced it. Week 14, I think we all know this as football fans. Wentz goes down in that game in L.A. Eagles win the game, clinch the division. And then a lot of people got down on the Eagles. Lane Johnson, their all-pro tackle, said, sometimes when I walk around town, people are treating us like we're the Browns, like we don't have anything going for us. Can you take us from that point where Wentz, the face of the franchise, goes down to this point right now?
Something happens when a starting quarterback goes down, especially if that starting quarterback is a star, where the head coach addresses the team and he says, look, this backup's here for a reason. In this case, Nick Foles is here for a reason. We believe he can play, and we're going to rally around him. It's the Dick Vermeil talk. Kurt Warner's our quarterback, and we're going to rally around him. And I think that guys on the team and guys in the locker room want to believe it. But then the quarterback needs to go out and prove to his teammates that the head coach wasn't lying to him. We wasn't selling them something that was phony. And so Nick Foles, I think, kind of had an up and down, performance kind of heading into the postseason. But once he got into the postseason, was absolutely outstanding. And people certainly, began to rally around him. And then what that in turn did was it started to give Nick Foles more confidence. And Nick Foles looked like a guy that was just out there having fun, cutting it loose. You mentioned Chris Collinsworth saying, looks like a guy that's been out here doing this all year long. He looked like a guy that was playing with an immense amount of confidence. And I think a lot of that stems from his head coach, Doug Peterson, who kind of been in that similar situation in his life in terms of being a backup, really letting him feel like, look, we trust you, and we're going to go as far as you'll take us.
Indeed. We're going to talk much more about what this all means for the Pats here in just a moment. But this is a night made for the Eagles fans. Pats fans have had these nights numerous times before, but this is a new feeling for the Philly faithful. We're back, getting you to prime time. Press conference is on the way. Congrats, Philly.